Hello, 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 and welcome to Friendly Differences 2.0. My name is Solid Blue Sister, and with me we have a special guest, Bob Baremu. How are you? Glad to have you back.
I know. It's good to be back. Reached out to yourself a few months ago and we had a chat, and it was good, and it was just good to catch up. You sent me a really lovely message as well. I must say it was nice to hear, and being on the show again. I've missed it, and I'm glad we're doing something a bit lighthearted this time round. I'll let you introduce the title of the show, but no, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, but one thing I will tell you is we are doing a lighthearted show. It's probably going to get a little funny. I don't know, but we are going to have to do one that's a little deeper.
Okay.
So, but we'll wait until 2025 and see
Yeah.
how, so
Yeah.
okay, y'all. So today we are going to talk about the culture of tipping. And if anybody knows me, I am 100% against tipping. Do I do it? Yes. Do I like to do it? No. Um, I just think that in America, we've gotten just way out of control on tipping, and it's getting to the point where you go buy a cup of coffee, you know, you have to tip. You go to McDonald's, they have a tip jar out. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, you being in the UK, why don't you tell people how the culture is there in terms of tipping?
Yeah, so that being obviously, as you know, my background, my history, I know there's a big difference between the American culture. It's like almost mandatory, and I have seen in my research for the show, seen some shocking, like, I mean, I think I sent you a screenshot of one, I think it was a Twitter post, not a Facebook post, of a lady business owner that had wrote, and I've got it up on the screen that I can maybe read out or
Hmm.
something later on in the show. But in the UK, it's not such a big thing. It's more like just out of politeness, and I am an advocate of that. I think that is my main message about tipping, is that, like, if you feel the need to tip because you've had a good service, like, I don't mind it being a thing, but I do object to, like, yeah, mandatory tipping. I think it's almost like, for me, it's like we, the people, have to subsidize the wages, maybe for the employer, because they don't want to pay the waitresses, the waiters, the chefs, and all that bigger wages.
Okay, so where is it? Is it in Japan or some of those other places in Asia where it's considered an insult?
Yeah, yeah, I read that as well. They see it as an insult, which is, I mean, again, I wouldn't even go that far, because you're saying you're fully against it. I'm against mandatory, but for me, if I'm out and I've enjoyed my experience and I've enjoyed the food, and the wait or waitress have been polite and helpful, or we're talking about restaurants, but there's tipping in all different types of industries. I feel like, I want to give a tip, and I
Well, okay. Well, let me clarify. I'm against, like I said, you're automatically going to say it's 20%, or you're automatically expecting that tip.
yeah.
And you have people who um a couple of months ago I was looking at a TikTok where a girl had bought something from DoorDash or something, and when the girl delivered her food, on the receipt she had said "F you, no tip." So when the girl had when she opened the door, the lady had cash for her.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Oh," she says, "don't worry about what I just said." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" Because the lady had not seen the receipt yet. So she goes, "Oh, no, don't worry about what I said." So she looked at the receipt and she saw that. And she said, "Why would you do this?" And the girl was like, "Oh, well, because you didn't give me a tip." And the lady said, "I never tip on the order. I tip when you get here because I prefer to pay cash."
Mhm.
And she said, so after the girl left and everything, that the lady was like, "Wow." She just like, "Wow." you're going to do this. She says, you know, people should wait to see. And she says, this is why another reason why people don't want to tip.
Yeah. For me as well, I know one thing, I learned this from my grandparents going out with them throughout my life, and my granda would always try to catch the waiter or waitress that served them and give them cash and not put it onto the
card. Yeah.
Because I know that, I don't know if it's the same in America, I'm sure it was in some places, that if you left a tip on the table, that tip would have to be spread over all the waiter and waitresses for that shift. Now, that's something I am big time against, because you could have good employees and bad employees, and they shouldn't all get a fair slice of the cake. The ones that go above and beyond and that and smile, and they should
Okay, so let me ask this. Do you think that tips should be shared among the people in the back of the house who are washing dishes and the cooks and stuff like that? So do you think that the tip that you give should be split between the waiter and the back of the house?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it'd be a bit too much hassle, but if each customer was to specify who they want the tip to go to, that would be an ideal world. But obviously, some people just leave it on the table and walk away. But ideally, I would want it, if it was the meal that was good, the food that was good, then say compliments to the chef. Here's a tip for the chef, or the waitress or waiter was very nice, very helpful, helped us out with the allergies, or helped us with the descriptions of the meals. Here you go, here's a tip. But I don't like that the restaurant owner or the business owner takes it all and divides it up at the end of the shift, because I know that's
another thing too. I wonder that if you're putting stuff on a card, that's going to go to the owner.
Yeah.
Because they have to, you know, do their bookkeeping, whatever. So how much of that are you actually
I know,
giving to your staff? And then the other thing too, well, here, let me play. I know the video that I was going to start off with, but let me start off with this one, because this one's really short. So hold on. It kind of gets into what we were talking about.
I'm not gonna tip you just because you turned the iPad around and I pushed the button, bro. Like, the comment that I absolutely hate the most is like when people say, like, if you can't tip, don't go out. Like, it's not. I'm not gonna give out free money, and it's just companies trying to get away with not paying their employees what they deserve. And they have the assets to pay these people more, but they just don't want to. They give you this option to tip, given this like social pressure to tip. And I agree with you. Like, if it's a server and they're coming multiple times and they're giving me good service, bro, I'm gonna tip you. If you're a bad server, you don't get a tip, bro. Like, if you're not working hard, if you come and like you give me water once and you don't come till I ask for the check, like I'm not gonna fucking tip you. Like, tips are earned, bro. Like, tips are earned, and companies should pay their people more so they don't have to fucking worry about it.
So, and that's what I think. I think that the customer, the consumer, is subsidizing what the waiter or what the company should pay, and I don't think that's fair.
No.
And then for people to go off for the waiter or the DoorDash people or whomever to get upset because you're not tipping, like he said, bro, you need to go talk to the company that you work with. And I don't know if that should be a federal thing. I mean, should that be a federal law? No. I mean, because if you said, okay, if you had a law that said no tipping, just mandatory, no tipping, would that force companies to pay their people more?
I don't think it would, because I feel like it's a separate thing altogether. It's almost like a job within a job. Like, tipping is probably seen like that in America, where people that work in those fields that think, oh, well, how much tips did you make tonight, on top of their wages, which to me is, it shouldn't be seen that way. But we don't live in that, like, a world where wages are so low, and it really is a catch-22. But the mandatory thing, I just don't, I'm dead against that. That's just
so people say, I provided a service, I provided a good service. Do you tip your doctor? Do you tip your dentist? Do you, I mean, I'm just saying, do you, when you go to the market, are you tipping the cashier? I mean, it gets to the point where before you can go, at least here, you can go out and get a cup of coffee, and 10 years ago, it wasn't like that. But all of a sudden, it's this tipping thing. And it seemed to have happened more right after COVID.
Okay. I mean, maybe so, but again, in the UK, tipping culture isn't really a thing. It's seen as like, if you go out for a big meal, the guy that pays the bill or the woman that pays the bill is seen to like, oh, you're leaving a tip. And usually you'd ask even around the table, anyone got any change, especially in today's society, no one's got money. So it's all like everyone's checking their pockets to leave a few pounds and all that. Or what I do is, because I never have cash on me, I just round the bill up. If it's 55, 56 pounds, round it up to 60, I do that sometimes, but it still does. It's only because if I've enjoyed my meal and I've had a good service, then I will. But see, if I'm happy walking out there not tipping if it hasn't been good, and as that guy said in that video there, if the waiter hasn't come near you, you've been sat waiting like 15, 20 minutes in between courses, or the bill hasn't came and you're just sat there, I'll happily not tip. But
So do you think you would get pissed off if you were a waiter and you didn't get tipped? And you gave good service?
Do you know something? I know someone that said this to me was that I feel like as a waiter, knowing that you're in an industry that you can get tipped in, you would up your game. Like, see if your work buddy was counting these tips at the end of the shift going, oh, I've made $30, $40 tonight, and you've made like $10, you're like, right. And then you would start doing like little competitions and, even like maybe flirting with the guests, or I'm sure people do that. Like, right. I don't see why. To me, it should be like a merit thing. Like, you feel, well, I've done poorly tonight, I need to up my game. My mood maybe isn't great, I don't know.
Okay. Because I remember my father was a mail carrier. And I remember when we were little, he never took vacation around Christmas, because that's when people would usually give him gifts, and it would usually be a monetary gift. And I remember him sitting at the kitchen table, and I swear to God, my father he would pull out all this money, and he would just have all this money on the table, and he's sitting there counting it. And it was money from his customers or from the people that he delivered mail to, whatever. And when I go back and I think about the type of mail carrier that my father was, I remember him, if it was raining or snowing, whatever, and this is before plastic bags were a thing, whatever, but the post office always had these plastic bags. He would sit there and he would have these bags, and he said, this is for my customers. And he said, before I go out on my route, he would literally put all their mail in the plastic bags, or their newspapers, whatever, so they wouldn't get wet, so they wouldn't do whatever. And so I mean, is that going above and beyond? Yeah, but again, people are tipping because they want to, but it's not like he says, well, okay, I delivered your mail for a whole year, so you better give me a 20% tip.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the difference. I was also going to say that when you were saying about like those industries that get tips, as I was doing a little bit of research for the show, I was thinking, why don't I get tips? I'm a welder, and I'm like, I know in my industry, but even like a bonus, or we always complain at my work when you get orders out, like a big batch of metal blocks will come into weld. For the listener maybe that won't understand, but we'll get these batch of 20, and I'm sure that the people in the office that are contacting the customers on a weekly basis to say, yeah, they'll be done by the 27th of December. And if we get them done by maybe the 20th of December, a week early, I'm sure they get bonuses. So to me, normalize tipping in all industries. Like I'm not, again, if you're good at your job and you deserve some praise, whether it be verbal or money, like I'm not against it. And I suppose that leads me into, and I don't want to derail, I think this is still in the same realm, but I think I've said this to you before in a previous show about the Karen culture. Did that stem from like reviews? Like, how Uber is, when you get out the car, you're supposed to look down at your app and rate the driver, and they can also rate you or something. And
Mhm.
I don't know if that's where that stemmed from, that Karen culture, but I was all for that when I heard about it. But again, I'm not as extensive into the Karen culture, but I'm okay with reviewing people or reviewing businesses, because that then breeds better service, and I think that's what tipping is doing.
Yeah, but well, okay, but let's talk about that. Is a review, can you equate a review the same as a tip? Because you have some companies, if you get a bad review, they want you to take it down. So is your bad review the same as, well, you didn't get a tip because you didn't give me good service, so you're getting a bad review because you didn't give me good service?
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel that like it's a merit thing. Like meritocracy would be like the bigger government scale, where at the end of the day, the best form of praise in your job you can get is a tip or a bonus or a promotion, and the worst part would be like a bad review or a warning or whatever. And I'm okay with that, because then that gets people to up their game and makes the world, in my opinion, a better place.
Okay, but this is another reason why I'm against tipping. And this is where I think that, I don't like people who say, well, you should get a better job, because if it weren't for service people, we wouldn't get deliveries. We wouldn't get, we wouldn't get anything. So I think that's a cheap shot when people say that. But I also think that if you get a job where you know that this is the wage, this is how much you're getting paid, you may or may not get tipped, don't take it out on the customer. I think that when you look at all these CEOs who are making these multi-million-dollar bonuses at the end of the year that they're not, of course, sharing with any of those people, you need to go and talk to the company that you're working for, because all those people who are sitting way up here and you're down here who are not sharing, those are the people you need to get mad at. Because these CEOs are making too much money, and that's another reason why I don't like tipping. Don't get mad at me. Go talk to the person who owns this, and they're sitting up here and they're flying around their jet, or they're sitting in their multi-billion-dollar house or whatever. You need to talk to them about either raising your thing or you get a bonus every month or something.
Yeah, there's a conversation to be had on that for sure. Obviously, with my background and beliefs, I would be questioning what type of action you would put in there, because I know you definitely disagree with me with this, but like taxing the rich more than the middle class, and I'm not against that. Like any restrictions on people how much they can make, I've always been against it, because it's all about freedom, and I think taking away someone's right or ability to make more, or basically robbing from the rich to give to the poor, that sounds good, and it does, because I'm in obviously the lesser, the middle class, so it would be nice. But at the same time, if I ever got to that level and someone says to me, you're making too much money, we need to take some off you, it doesn't sit well with me. So
no, okay, but I don't think that if you're getting a big bonus because you're the CEO or you're the director or whatever, it's like you just laid off all these people, but you still got your bonus. That make sense to me.
I know. And in my industry, I know that all too well. Bonuses, like I said earlier, the people in the office coming in with their BMWs and Audis and Jaguars on their salaries and getting bonuses. Meanwhile, we on the workshop floor that are getting our hands dirty and breathing in fumes.
But they're getting bonuses off of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. So those CEOs, whatever, they're getting bonuses off of what the people down there are doing, that are in the workshop, that are out in the plant or whatever.
And I will say that's actually a good conversation to have. I'm not educated on what you can do, but that is what you're talking about there is a good thing to look into. What can we do to bridge that gap? Because the rich are definitely getting richer and the poor are getting poorer with inflation and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm down for whatever it is we can do, but just make it fair. I don't know if that's even, like make it across the board, not just target the rich, make the bonuses be split or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I just, again, I just have a problem with, you hear about all these CEOs who are making all this money and their bonuses are just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yet the person who comes to work every day, that bank teller or whatever, they're living paycheck to paycheck, or, they do something wrong. They accidentally count their drawer wrong. And it's like, oh, you're going to get written up. You do it again, you're fired. And meanwhile, it's just not cool.
And a little dig to anyone. I doubt any of them are listening in my company, but if they are, it's like we always say, give us a few months, we could do their job. They couldn't do our job in a few months. The manual hard labor. I mean, and I'm just talking about my industry, but I bet that's the same for a lot of the people in the higher jobs. Okay, they've gone to uni or college or whatever to get their degree, but it's a lot harder to do the lower down jobs, to be honest, a lot of time. Maybe people disagree there, but
I think you're 100% correct. And that's why I say, when it comes to tipping, y'all talking to the wrong people. You get mad at the wrong people. You need to get mad at the people who own the place or whatever. So, but let me play this other video, the one that originally going to start off with. So this is a little long. This is about 3 minutes.
No.
What?
Wait, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm taking this back.
Why?
Do you guys not see that you guys did not tip me for this whole batch?
Okay, that's not our problem.
Not your problem. Do you see how much stuff this is?
Okay, tips are optional, and we already paid the heavy delivery fee.
Do you think I get that fee? I don't get that fee.
Well,
that
why?
goes to the app.
Well, then why is it to you then?
What do you mean it's to me?
It's a $10.99 heavy delivery fee. Okay, I had to pay an additional $11.
But I don't get that fee. The only thing I get is the base pay for the batch and tips.
That's not
Do you
my
not
problem.
Yeah, it kind of is your problem. This is the whole reason why people are struggling today. Like, tips are how people pay their bills. Do you not get that?
No, I paid for my groceries.
It's whatever. No, I'll just take it back because
I'm
gonna
paid for my
return it.
groceries.
no, I'm gonna return it.
I
Like,
paid
I just
for
don't
my
understand what you don't
groceries.
get. But you could have went to the store and paid for your groceries and brought it here yourself. Do you know how heavy this stuff was? I had to load it and unload it and bring it to you guys.
I paid for the service.
I
okay?
get that you paid for the service.
Then why are you taking my food?
If you can pay for the service, you can pay for the tip as well, don't you?
No, I can't. Okay, that's none of your business.
Then you should have went to the store and got it yourself.
That's none of your business.
No, it is my business because you didn't tip me.
Wait, so why do we have to tip you?
I didn't say you have to. I'm confused why you didn't when I gave you guys a great service.
Well, clearly,
I
we
brought
had
all
to.
this stuff to. Do you know how heavy this stuff was?
It doesn't matter.
Do I look like Muscle Man or something to you?
Clearly you do. You're in a tracksuit. You're in.
What does that have to do with carrying all this stuff and you guys not tipping me?
I mean, it's like you came like ready for a workout. So I mean,
What are you
we
talking
paid
about?
the
What does this
fees.
have
Look,
to do with
we
you not
paid the
tipping
fees.
me?
We paid for everything. We paid for that food.
If you can pay for the food, you can pay for a tip. What do
No,
you
I
understand?
can't.
Yes, you can.
You don't get a tip automatically. Why
I
do
know
you
it's not automatic, but what I'm saying is if
seriously?
you're not going to tip me, I'm just going to take it back. Like,
You're
what?
just gonna take it back.
Yes, and
You
you guys
kidding
can get
me?
your money
You're
back.
gonna steal from us.
How am I stealing when I'm
Because I paid
I'm
for that
literally
food.
taking it back to the store.
No, I paid for that food to
then
be
you'll get your money
delivered.
back from the delivery service.
No,
I don't care. You
I-
guys
no,
can't
no,
tip
no.
me, so I'm
Okay,
just gonna
okay.
give
Look,
it back.
look. Do you tip the grocery store clerk?
No.
If he does a great
When-
job
when-
at bagging
when
my
it-
stuff and he brings it to my car like a lot of people do, yes, I do tip.
No.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, do you tip
Just
a
'cause you
mechanic?
guys don't doesn't mean
Do you
mean
tip
that
a
I
mechanic?
don't. Yes, if he's able to get me in and get me out and get me back on the road in a reasonable time, yes, I will tip my mechanic.
Insane.
Okay.
That's just a part.
That's why you're
Do you-
poor.
are you
need
guys
this job probably?
Poor? Do you not? So just because I need this, no, now you're job shaming. So you
I'm
job
not.
shamed. Yes, you just did. You just job shamed me.
No, you're not doing your job in the first
I
place.
am doing
okay?
my job.
Clearly
so I'm
you're
just
not.
gonna take it back, considering. Oh, I'm so poor. Let
Look,
me just give this. Back
I'm
to the
just
store.
I'm
How about
recording
that?
this. Look, I don't think this is like
Yeah.
stealing. I don't
How
think
is
you
it
should
stealing
be.
when
It
I'm
is.
giving it back
We're
to the
gonna go
store?
to corporate. And
You're-
you're
you're-
gonna
wait,
Go
what do you
ahead.
mean- what do you
I'm
mean you-
returning it. You guys will get your money back. And then you guys can go to the store
We
and do this
paid
yourself.
for this to be
You go ahead and do
delivered.
this all yourself, and then you can see how
All
much
this-
work it was and why I should be. That was wild.
It was a while. Okay, so all right, so a couple of things on both sides. They did have a lot of stuff. It looked like because I noticed like at the door it says this door should remain on lock. So I'm assuming that it's a business, whatever. So she did have a lot of stuff, but if there's a delivery fee, should that delivery fee be the tip? Should it be?
Yeah.
Because
I
when you
noticed.
pay a delivery fee, what is that delivery fee for? Is that for the gas for the truck or whatever? So if you're using your personal car, should that delivery fee go to you?
Yeah, that delivery fee would be then what you were saying about, well, it's basically, is that the mandatory tip? Because I assume that it would, like, the bill would come and it would be all the items and then a line and then it would be delivery fee. What was it, $10, $11?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, that would annoy me. Like, what is that? Because is that like her wage? Am I paying her wage?
Right.
Because I don't for 1 minute believe she's doing that job for free and only getting tips, because I think that's what you said, didn't
Right,
she?
right, yeah. She says that we rely on tips, and I've heard that waiters have said the same thing. We rely on our tips. I mean, but
Okay.
she's still getting a salary,
Yeah,
but she also wants tips. So
yeah. Mhm.
would they have been out of line to snatch the stuff back from her?
Yeah, because those people have obviously paid for it. Like, I don't get. As a part of that video made me. I started to think that video was staged to push a
That's what I
message.
was looking at the
Yeah,
comments,
but the
and
only thing that made me question was it stages the insults. I was like, okay, maybe not. I don't know, because she was like, as she said, job shaming and what she was wearing, and yeah, you're ready for a gym workout. Like, it got a bit like where I'm like, okay, maybe it's not staged, but if it was to push a message, then this is just what the people that are in the industries that get tipped are going to do. They're going to push tipping culture because it benefits them. But for me, I'd be questioning what the delivery charge is. I know I've certainly used the delivery, the grocery. We have apps called Just Eat and Deliveroo, and they have like groceries now where Asda and Tesco, all the supermarkets are on there. So you can have your goods sent out, and I've noticed that they do add on more. Like for example, a packet of bacon in the shop might be £2.99, but on this app it'll be £3.50. Then maybe add 50p on, and that's maybe. But then this £10-11 delivery charge to me seems a bit, fishy.
I mean, because there are certain things that I won't order because of the delivery fee.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then even for my own business, I say anything, no shipping charges, anything over $49.99.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that because I do have to pay for postage and things like that. Mm-hmm. But there are certain things that I won't order because of the delivery fee. I mean, it's like, $40 for a delivery fee for this. I'll just go to the store. But for everything that they were ordering and all they paid was $10, I thought $10 was a decent thing. But yeah. I think that $10 should have gone to her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's the way they wanted to work their business, if that $10 is her wage per delivery, that's fine, because that's her wage, not a tip. But it should be specified, I think. I don't know if that's what they were doing there, but
okay. Yeah. So let me play this one, because I thought this one was interesting.
Tipping in the United States is out of control. I'm in Miami right now, and I got this pumpkin spice latte from a place in Brickell, and there was a mandatory service charge on my bill. I didn't even get the option to tip. I didn't get asked if I wanted to tip. I had to tip as a part of my order. Like, the woman flipped the screen around to me, and instead of clicking what percentage you want, it just said service charge. And don't get me wrong, I'll be happy to tip on a great 3-course meal with good service, but for a cup of coffee, I typically don't tip. I don't know if this is just a Miami thing, but this is getting out of control. When I was in Italy over the summer, I had a 3-course meal, the best pizza, the best pasta, the best wine I've ever had. And when I went to pay the bill, the server brought the check to me, and I just signed it, and there was no line to tip. I was honestly confused because it was great service. I was happy to tip, so I go, hey man, how do I tip you? You did great. He goes, oh, we don't do tips here. We're in Italy. So you go from Italy, where you can have the best service of your life and there's no tip, to Miami, where they pour you a cup of coffee and you are forced to tip or else you can't get your coffee. We're getting to a point now in America where people are going to ask for tips for grabbing you a water, for getting you a napkin, for holding the door for you. Like, aren't tips supposed to reward good service, not just be a requirement for ordering a coffee at a coffee shop? Like, what?
Mhm. I actually saw a video like that, and it was about a game in the NFL, and it was in one of these hot states, and the day was 100 degrees or whatever it was, and everyone was queued up for this. There was just a guy with an iPad halfway up the stadium stairs, and he had bottles of water in his back and all that, and people were just going up, tapping his iPad, and grabbing the bottle of water. Now, the bottle of water itself was a crazy amount. I can't remember how much. But when they got when you tap your phone, you get like how much you paid or something like that. They worked out that this guy was charging like $2 every bottle of water or something tip just for going like that. Here you go, here you go. And the person doing the TikTok was saying that day there must have been 200-300 people going up getting bottles of water and working out how much money that guy had made just from standing there with an iPad. It's crazy.
I mean, and this is, I think that this is another reason why, again, why people don't want to tip, because it's like you're forcing me. It's like that guy with the coffee. They may have poured the coffee and stuff. I always said, no, you're not going to charge me a service charge, and you're not even doing anything. Yeah. I have to come up here to the counter and get my coffee. I mean, you haven't done anything. Your job is to serve coffee. That is your job. So like he said, you're going to start, somebody opens the door. Oh, you have a tip, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, and I mean, this is why when I'm out with people and they know I don't like to tip, I'm like, they're like, oh, come on, whatever. And it's like, and like you said, it's like sometimes you're sitting there and you're waiting. It's like, hello.
Yeah. Or
did you forget to put my order in, or, whatever. And I understand it gets busy. It gets crazy, whatever. And I try, I'm pleasant. Hi, how are you? Whatever. But don't try to shame me into tipping you or say the surcharge, or like you said, tap the iPad, and instead of this bottle of water being $2, you're charging me $4.
Yeah.
So and like you say, how much money did that guy make?
I know.
When he got home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the UK, do people ever get upset if you went out to a nice dinner and you didn't tip? I mean, would the waiter get upset?
No, I don't think there's any. I mean, I've certainly not heard any stories. I was asking around my friends and family if they've any stories on tipping or what their views were, just to gather kind of more thoughts on it. But I feel like tipping's just more like, oh, did you tip? Oh, no, it's like a shame thing. Not like a lot. Like if you was to go out for a meal and you left a £5 note, it's really not a big thing here. I could be wrong. There could be people from the UK screaming saying, yeah, it is. But I just think in my experience, like if I've had a good service, even sometimes when I haven't, I just like to round it up because it's easier to work out and kind of keep everything like that. But I definitely know that tipping in America, it's like a mandatory. It's almost like seen as, if you don't, it's crazy.
It's I mean, it gets ridiculous. And I have been in restaurants where waiters have argued with customers over the tip. Wow. And you're just like, seriously, it's like, I did this and they're like, no, you didn't. I mean, it's like, and you have I don't know how true this is, but I've seen a couple of them on TikTok where people are actually following you to your car. Sir, excuse me, ma'am, you didn't tip, or this is all you're going to give me, or I mean, it's like, seriously?
Wow. See, that just, I think that's just become like a, people get so into it that it's just taken over their lives, and if they don't get a tip, they're like offended personally, and I get that, but again, I think it all just comes back to that they need to go to their boss and say, look, I can't afford to pay my bills on the wages, and I rely on tips, and I know it's not the customer's problem, but it's becoming a thing. And again, power in numbers. If you all stick together and you go to your boss and say, yeah, we need, usually that works as well. So do you want me to read out this? I've got it in front of me here.
Yeah.
This Facebook or Twitter post by a business owner.
Now this is a business owner in the UK.
No, in the US, I believe.
Okay. Okay.
So it's, we expect you to tip 20% minimum. That's the end of the story, period. The number is even printed right there on the check, so you don't have to do any math. When you walk in the door, you enter into a covenant. If you feel any kind of way about this other than 100% accepting, you should stay at home. Invest in your own sound system, get some nice glassware, install dimmers on your kitchen lights, put out some candles, and make your own cocktails. I won't say that you should go elsewhere because 20% is the minimum expected tip in bars and restaurants all over this city, and your feelings about that fact are irrelevant. And if you're uncomfortable with a woman having the agency to explain any of this to you, again, stay home. Go ahead and go buck wild in the comment section if you feel the need. Liz, the owner. Oh, that was it. And that was, I think that was what the rabbit hole went down after it, was the whole, on some of these pads or cash like things, it's now starting to say 15%, 20%. It doesn't even give you the option just to leave £1 or £2 or, whatever you want. It's a set amount of 15, 20, 25%.
Well, what's interesting is not only that is, you're right, because they don't have a thing where it says, because you have some of them that says no tip.
Mhm.
And honestly, if I had that and it didn't say no tip or anything, I would not pay through the app. I would pay with cash or something and say, well, I paid the bill. I'm not, you don't force me to give you a tip. So as long as I pay for the food, whatever, don't force me. That's just okay. So if everybody stayed home, let's just say for 1 week or a weekend when you make most of your money, and people say, okay, we're going to stay home. How much money did she lose, as opposed to letting me decide what I'm going to?
Yeah.
That is that's an obnoxious and aggressive.
Yeah, they'd go out of business, I'm sure.
Does it give the name of the restaurant?
No, it's just a Twitter post. Yeah.
Okay, because I would love to. When she says go crazy in the comments and stuff, why don't you give the name of your restaurant so we can not come to your restaurant?
Yeah.
That's just so.
I know. Something just struck my mind is now I'm starting to remember every time I pay for gas, fuel, there's a little pin pad and it goes add a gratuity, yes or no. And I'm like,
wait, for gas?
Yeah, that's I can't believe I've just remembered that, because I'm sitting thinking you're stood behind a counter in your nice work with your radiator and all you have to do is press a couple of buttons. I'm out there putting in my own. If you were out there putting in my fuel, I'd definitely tip you. But the fact that I'm going to these things and it's like add a gratuity, yes or no, and then I always say no to them. But I'm like, yeah, that would be up there. That's definitely up there.
I have not seen that here, but that's crazy. And this is what I'm saying. It's like if you go to get something to eat and you're going to a buffet or you're going to McDonald's or something and you're going through a drive-through, or even if you get out of your car and go in, they're not doing anything. Why do you have a tip jar there when I'm coming up to the counter? It's not like you came and brought my meal to me or gave me.
Yeah, tipping should be exactly what it is for people who go above and beyond and make your experience better than the average experience. I agree.
And this is why I don't like tipping, because it's the culture and the obnoxious part of it that has just made me say, you know what, screw screw you. Go talk to your manager, go talk to the owner, whatever. I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah.
Now, the only people that I usually tip and don't have a problem with is if I travel, I'm staying in a hotel, I will tip the housekeeper, the housekeeping staff.
Okay.
You know,
those
who
that come in and clean your room.
and clean your room and things like that. Because I do know that they work very hard, and I do know that they're on a time limit, that they have to clean your room within this amount of time and move on to the next room or whatever. So I will give them a tip, because they usually do, you know, a really good job. But other than that, I don't like tipping. So let me play this last video.
I am so over tipping. It's gone too far. And so here's my new perspective, my new strategy when it comes to tipping. Number one, I am not tipping anywhere where they ask me to tip before I experience the service. For example, I went and got a $9 smoothie the other day, and right when I was like ordering my smoothie, I was like, oh, I'll get the breakfast smoothie. Then they're like, okay, it's just gonna ask you a few questions. The answer is no. One, y'all haven't made my smoothie. 2, I haven't tasted my smoothie. 3, I don't even know if I'm gonna like this smoothie yet. Why am I tipping? Like, I'm not tipping. Also, it's a smoothie. It's not like a sit-down restaurant. Like, what are we doing? There's a lot of places that make sense to tip, like restaurants. You experience the food, you experience the service, you're sitting down, you're being served. Of course you leave a tip there. But again, that tip is based off the experience, okay? Same thing, nail salons. You get your nails done, you pay and you tip based off the service, okay? I'm not tipping preemptively. So that goes for coffee shops where they turn it around, ask you questions, ice cream shops, anywhere like that. Ice cream shops alone is just a no for me. You scooped my ice cream for 15 seconds and put it in a cup. Like, no. You guys are paid hourly, like hourly rates. If they're not enough, talk to your employer. But why is that burden being put on the consumers? I will never understand. As a business owner, imagine if every single time you guys bought a planner from my site, it was like, oh, just leave a tip. Leave a tip for what? We hand make all your planners, and I'm still like, leave a tip for what? No.
Preemptive tipping, that's a first for me. I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
But she has a point, because here, if you go places, whatever, before they even finish making your sandwich or whatever, by the time you say, okay, I want this, whatever, they're making your sandwich, right? You're usually at the register before they finish your food. So then they're going to say, well, how was it? I mean, it's like, what? It's like, no. And it has gotten out of control. And Bob, I'm telling you, it seems like that it has become more pervasive since COVID. It seems like COVID has been a reason. Well, the prices are higher. COVID. Well, we got COVID. I mean, it's like, you can't blame COVID anymore. You can't. COVID is over. You cannot blame COVID.
And the whole no tax on tipping thing, what's that? I know both candidates mentioned that, and I don't know, how is that going to work? How is there even tax on tips? Because I thought tips
typically, when I know people probably don't do it, but if you're supposed to report your tips on your income tax, because it's earned income.
Wow.
So, but I know that people aren't doing that, because I mean, if you're getting paid especially if you're getting paid in cash, people aren't going to report that.
No.
So
I wouldn't either. I think that's terrible that was a thing. I thought.
Well, no, it's considered income. It is considered income.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you're in the right game for that, because I'm sure, like any donations online, these streamers or podcasters, they get tips and donations. If that comes through, you'd be in the right game for that.
Well, I have turned off anything with getting money, because number one, I don't like the fact that the platform you're on, they take half.
They take that, yeah.
So it's like, why even, if you're not going to give me at least 90% of it, then
Yeah.
Because YouTube, I think, takes something like 40% or 35% or something. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So and I'm not trying to be funny, but say you got $2 and they're taking 35%. It's like, really,
know.
seriously,
No.
so
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. Tipping, like I said, I am against it. I'm against where you're trying to shame me into doing it, where you're not giving me a choice. And like that guy said, where it was a service charge. So instead of saying a tip, I'm gonna pay a service charge on a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Try to think the combative response to what would be the opposite of tipping, but it's probably not going to come out right. Like, for example, if the experience is bad, can I then get money off the bill? Like, because I always feel that there's that. That's always what's in my mind is if there's something that I need to give if I get what I'm paying for, or if you go above and beyond. But what if I have a bad experience on your behalf? Do I then get compensated?
Depending on the restaurant, there have been times when they've comped my meal and they say, no, we're not going to charge you for this, whatever. Yeah. But again, I say the problem lies with the employer. The employer should be the one to either pay a higher wage. I mean, I think that's the main thing. Pay a higher wage.
Yeah. That's definitely the takeaway from this, because then the whole tipping culture would be less. I think it's obviously hearing the stories and how it is in America, it's definitely a lot more of a thing. And if the employer paid better wages, then it wouldn't be, I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, not only that is, and then again, I go back to COVID, because when things started to reopen, you had a lot of restaurants, and it's still sort of like this, where they're shorthanded. A lot of people did not go back to their jobs, especially if they were in the service part. So if you were working in a restaurant, a lot of restaurants were having a hard time getting people to work, whatever, because people were saying, why am I going to go back to work and I'm only getting paid this and I'm doing all this work?
Yeah.
So, that could tell you right there, well, maybe I should pay people more. Maybe. And the thing about it, you have a restaurant that is consistently busy. I mean, there are some restaurants who are just lines out the door, just consistently busy. You can't pay your more. I know you all are making money.
Yeah.
And when you think about how much people charge for a meal, you can go home and you can make the same meal for a fraction of what it is. So we already know that you're bumping up the price.
Yeah.
So you can't pay more.
But I'm shocked I haven't asked you this already. See how we mentioned earlier, is it Japan that they think it's, I'm also against that. I mean, if they say the government came in one day and said, we're banning tipping, you can't tip, I would be against that. Would you?
I would, because I do believe that if you want to tip, you have to tip, because I know airlines. Yeah. I have tipped flight attendants before.
Okay.
And I have to do it on the slide, because technically they're not supposed to accept tips.
Okay.
And they can get in trouble. But I've had some flight attendants who are just really, really nice and what have you. So, and I know they don't make anything. So I think that you should be able to accept a tip.
Yeah.
So, and again, you look at the airlines, all these CEOs are making all these money, and flight attendants and everybody, it's like they're making nothing. So I want to see something.
I think again, back to what I said about the meritocracy. I think even like in my line of work, I feel when I get praised, even just with words, sometimes you can walk away with a spring in your step. So I can't even imagine being in an industry where tipping is common, where like you could go home at the end of the night with, some people probably even come home with like $100 extra for a shift. And I'm like, if I knew I could do that, I would be the best person I could be. and it's sad that we don't all experience tipping. So Yeah, that's why I'm saying I am for it. I think people do deserve it, but I don't like mandatory in it, and I feel it should lay on the hands of your employer to pay better wages.
Okay, countries where tipping is generally not expected or considered rude include Japan, China, South Korea, Hong Kong, Belgium, Australia, Switzerland, Denmark, and New Zealand, as these places often have high service industry wages, making tipping unnecessary and sometimes even offensive. In Japan, tipping is considered very rude as good service is expected as the standard. In Denmark, due to laws requiring service charges to be included in the price, tipping is not customary. And New Zealand, similar to other developed nations, fair wages mean tipping is not expected. So it all comes down to you pay your people good wages, they don't have to worry about tips. And in the United States,
no. I know, but something there just doesn't sit right, because nobody's going to turn away money. Like, nobody, especially in those line of works. They're saying they pay good wages, but I wonder what the average wages yearly of a wait or waitress in China or Japan, and if someone was to offer them the equivalent of $20, that they would say no. You know, is that a thing that's been pushed by the government, or is it restaurants in general that have they just don't want people? I don't know. I just don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me.
Okay. Japan says tipping is considered very rude as good service is expected as the standard. So would that be a cultural thing that in our culture we expect you to do a good job? But then again, that should be everywhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it should go without saying. But as we know, the world's not perfect, and people have their bad days, and sometimes that can come out in them in their job. But I like the option of it being there, because then it promotes better behavior, better service, just betterness. Just makes you better if you know you can be tipped or promoted. I know if there was a promotion coming up in my job, I would knuckle down a bit harder. People just don't have that to work towards in general. People don't have aspirations readily available, and I feel like tipping could be used as that. So yeah.
I don't know. Again, like I said, tipping is just if I want to do it, then I'll do it. But I don't want you to stand there, expecting me to give you a tip. Years and years ago, I went to this hotel, and literally all I had with me was a little bag. I was just staying overnight. It was just this little bag. I check in, and the girl at the desk, she called a bellhop, whatever you want to call him, over, and she said, he'll help you to your room. And I said, that's okay. It's fine. I don't need any help. I had just had this. I mean, literally, this thing was so light. I was, whatever. And she says, no, he can help you. And I was like on the third floor or something. And I said, well, I've been here before. I know where the elevator is and all this other stuff, whatever. And she says, no, he has to help you. And I said, I'm fine. And so then she did like this to me, and I leaned forward. She goes, we need you to have him carry your bag because he needs to get a tip.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I said, I kind of figured that's what it was. I said, but I don't need help and I'm not tipping. It's like, again, I can see if I had a whole bunch of luggage, whatever. I had this little bag, and I mean, to me, it's like I'm going to look ridiculous. You're walking through this thing in this little bag, and when I walked away, he looked offended because he was talking to her. But it's like, don't force me to have to give you money.
Yeah, I would have hated that scenario. I know, I knew that was coming. But yeah, it's sad, and that is a prime example of a employer relying on the customer to give their employees tips. That's so wrong.
I mean, and then I don't know. And then you could have people who, let's say, I'm taking my kid out for dinner because he got straight A's or something. And let's say I had to save, like I told him, you get straight A's, we're going to do this, whatever. But I was saving my money. Let's say I'm not making that much money, whatever, but I was putting some money aside, every paycheck, because I knew I was going to take my kid out for this nice meal. And we go out, we have a nice meal, whatever, and I'll leave a tip, but it's a small tip. And the waiter gets upset. It's like, you don't know somebody's circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Mhm.
I could give you all the money that
Mhm.
I had, but this is, I had to save up to come. And some people do that. Some people do save up to go to a really nice place,
Mhm.
because of
Yeah.
this anniversary or whatever. And they saved all their money. And
Mhm. Yeah, that would be infuriating. Yeah, I'd ask for it back.
so, yeah, but anyway,
Mhm.
but you have any last words?
No, it's been good. It's a good topic it's never one that I've thought about. Obviously, just when I tip, it's just like, if I've had a good experience, but the culture thing's definitely different. And yeah, I think it's a sign of the times that if people in the industry are possibly staging videos like that one in the middle there, that maybe it's just a drive, because and it's a shame people aren't able to earn a lot of money, and it's sad that they're maybe focusing on the wrong places to attack. It should be their look up instead of down or level.
Oh
Yeah,
boy, I don't know.
I know it's been good.
I just think, again, don't shame me because I didn't. Don't shame me. Don't shame me because I didn't tip.
Mhm.
Because you don't want me to shame you if you didn't give me good service. I
Yeah.
think that the bottom
Mhm.
line is, let people leave their reviews, but the what do you call it? The employer should be the one
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
is responsible for paying
Mhm.
tips and what have you.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to come to the UK where I can sit and have a meal and not have to
I not feel. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
have to worry about tipping. So I don't know.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's it. We are going to be off for the last 2 weeks, which is the next 2 weeks for the holidays, and we will be back in January. So, Mr. Bob, thank you
Yeah.
so much for
No, thank
joining.
you.
And like I
Yeah.
said, we're going to have to do a
More hot
okay, you
topic.
know what? I'm going to have you on with Thomas.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, I've watched the last two with Thomas, and they've been interesting. But as I said, I've been out of the game, as you know, for well, it's over a year now. I haven't really been, as much as I still like to listen to TikTok on night shift and keep up with those Parker, Harry Sissons. I don't know if you've come across them, but I'm always in listening to what's going on in America politically and all that. But I haven't really dipped my toe into podcasting or called in or anything like that. So I'm a bit rusty, but no, it's good to be back, and it's been great being asked back on the show by you. And yeah, I wish everyone a happy Christmas and a good New Year as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, until 2025, I hope everyone has a good holiday and peace.